Doctor, the patient's waking up. Oh man, what happened? Oh good, you're awake. Unfortunately, sir, you're in a hospital. You've been in a coma for some time. Oh God. Yes, we'll give you some time to adjust, but first we must know, what is the last thing you remember? Kyle Larson winning the Roval? Wait, did he win the championship? Did Bell or Byron get it done? Or was it Reddick or Elliott or Blaney or Bowman? Who won, damn it? Oh fuck, I thought that was a bad dream. That really happened? Ugh, the even year curse continues as a regular season that was barely even eligible for the playoffs to begin with leads to a third championship for J. Logano. I'm not even going to waste time setting expectations for his regular season, because at this point, it's pretty much irrelevant. He could go winless and sneak into the postseason on a technicality, and that would still somehow be enough to get him to the championship. And I'd say the same for Blaney. While he was worlds above Logano throughout most of last year, he also had to sneak his way into a shot at the Cup. And now they are 3 for 3 in next-gen championships. Safe to say Mr. Penske is living large heading into this year, but you and he would be forgiven for forgetting that there is in fact a third Penske car. While Austin Cindric did put together arguably his best season yet, that's not saying much when his teammates are literally dogfighting while he is nowhere to be found. Breaking the winless streak and comfortably getting to the second round certainly showed improvement, but we also have to consider the car that he's driving. A car that, before he took over, knew nothing but multi-win seasons and deep championship runs. And as of right now, he's not locked in for 2026. Like Eric Jones at JGR, he is the weak link. And if he can't turn things around, he may suffer the same fate. But damn will he look good doing it. For how much we gush over Hendrick's domination, winning races in droves, and just being the most complete team all around, these guys sure don't win a lot of championships. While they were just 17 pounds of ballast away from getting all 4 of their cars into the round of 8, they were also one fairly suspect penalty away from missing the championship entirely. And even when William Byron made it in, he had absolutely nothing to stop the Penske dynasty. For how well the season ended, it's hard to believe it's now been almost a full calendar year since Byron's last won a race. Same goes for Chase Elliott, and not too long after, Alex Bowman. And then there's Kyle Larson, having the best season since his last best season and still somehow falling short. I can't help but feel that if we were still running the Gen 6 car, he'd be in the midst of a Jimmy Johnson-esque dynasty right about now. But alas, we're not. And he's not, still searching for championship number 2. For a team that once thrived on making the playoff system their bitch, they just can't seem to break through. But if it's any consolation, I do give them the trophy for having the best paint scheme. 'Cause god damn! Talk about a tale of two teams. On one side, the regular season champion. The other didn't even make the playoffs. On one side, a championship 4 contender. On the other, an 8th-place drop in the point standings. On one side, a 3-win season. On the other, nada. It's getting difficult to defend Bubba Wallace. Sure, he has his moments, but unfortunately for him, Tyler Reddick is just on another level, even making a habit out of beating his own boss. Bubba's not going anywhere anytime soon, but this will be his 8th season in the Cup Series. If he doesn't start maximizing his potential now, he may never get the chance again. Though at least now, hopefully he won't be the runt of the team. Expanding from 2 to 3, 2311 has officially bought into the Terrible Herbst Fund, although I will give him his flowers. While he did underperform the ever-living hell out of his ride at Haas, Riley Herbst did finally win some races, including their last race, and actually made a decent run through the Xfinity playoffs. If there's ever a time he's going to be ready for Cup, I guess it's now. But how ready can this guy be?
I'm ready.
No, you ain't.
Hard to believe I'm listing this team after their Technical Alliance lackey, but hey, we've seen this before. Other teams getting more out of JGR's equipment than JGR, and last season was no exception. Denny started off strong, but floundered toward the end. Ty overall improved, but surprisingly still sits winless heading into his 3rd year, and I think Martin Truex was just excited to set sail, and taking his place is an intriguing name, the first and foremost of the SHR outcasts, Chase Briscoe. His time in Tony's old ride might have fallen short of expectations, but his clutch performance in Darlington, as well as his first-round rebound, instills hope in me that he can bring the 19 back to its rightful spot at the top, provided he can endure an Aussie screaming at him for 4+ hours. As for the last car in the Gibbs stable, I think we're about to see the final, glorious evolution of Christopher Bell. because boy did he go through hell last year. In Vegas, an easy victory was snatched by the fuel strategy of a competitor who shouldn't have even been there in the first place. In Martinsville, an easy championship 4 spot got taken away in a total officiating fustercluck that just reeked of race manipulation. And in the championship race, he led the most laps, even more than Joey Logano, not because his car was that good, but to make a statement. He deserved to be here. He deserved that championship spot. That's why I think we're about to see Christopher Bell unleashed. May God have mercy on their souls. For Justin Marks' merry band of misfits, it was a typical offseason of splashy signings and bringing back beloved sponsors. You know, same old, same old. Of course, you've got the usual tandem of Chastain and Suarez, both still hoping to return to their 2022 form, but they've also re-signed the architect behind their craziest win, Shane Van Gisbergen. To tell you the truth, I don't expect much from him on the ovals, but in the rare instance they have to turn right, he will be a constant threat. And speaking of road course specialists, an 18-year-old Connor Zilisch will also be joining the fray, making his first start in Week 3 at Circuit of the Americas. Now, I don't want to set expectations too high for you, Connor. You're only 18 and you've got an entire career to look forward to. But I do expect you to win that first race, and the second, and the third. I expect you to win every race and every championship from here on out. No pressure. Now go make us fellow Connors proud. Another team who went shopping in the offseason was RFK, picking up a new sponsor in Kroger and a new driver in Ryan Preece. It's safe to say the hype train slowed down a little after last year, but the wheels are still on. Keselowski won a race, Buescher won a race, and now Ryan Preece has his first opportunity with a genuinely competitive team. All in all, I don't expect them to set the world on fire like they did in 23, but I would at least hope to see that 60 car in victory lane. Because even though this is just his 6th season in Cup, Ryan Preece is already 34. Good God, where did the time go? An unimpressive driver landing at an unimpressive team. That's pretty much all I have to say. I know that might seem slanderous. Josh Berry is an ace on the short track scene, but ever since he came to Cup, I have not been impressed, and that feeling carries over to the whole team. Of course, like anyone, they could snooker in a win like they did last year, but I don't envision much more. Sorry, Brothers Wood, but I think you'll have to endure your 75th year without a championship. But hey, you know what they say, 76th time's a charm. With the fall-off still fresh in mind, this season feels like do or die, which is weird for a team that's been around for over 50 years, but such is the case when one of your cars is being hogged by the living embodiment of nepotism, and the other can barely crack the top 20 with a generational talent behind the wheel. Besides their complete shocker of a show in Richmond, the depths of RCR's 2024 season are hard to describe. We've never seen them perform this badly, though they have shaken a lot of things up. New crew chiefs, new competition directors, basically everyone besides ownership and talent, though if this year doesn't get any better, even that might change. Busch may consider spending his final days elsewhere, and Dillon may consider retirement, which seems morbid when talking about a multi-time winner in just his mid-30s, but then again, as true fans know, Austin Dillon is a very special case. You'd be hard-pressed to find any team that had a sillier season than Spire. Despite a net improvement last year, they've pushed forward with the racing equivalent of a rebuild. And boy are they looking scary. Between signing a Michael McDowell who seems to be aging like wine, bringing in a 40-time winner and champion in crew chief Rodney Childers, and ditching demo derby driver Corey LaJoie in a trade? Okay then. This team has just kept on building to a point where I can confidently say they won the offseason. Now instead of finishing in the 30s, they're going to finish in the 20s. Hell yes. Buried in the fuckery that is our country's legal system was a potential improvement for the sport's resident field fillers. They've got Todd Gilliland driving his dad's old ride, reacquired Zane Smith, the team's one and only NASCAR champion, and with the last charter from SHR, they've added a third car, the number 4 driven by Noah Gragson, that is totally not just the SHR number 4, totally not. Those are two completely different fonts. With each driver and the team as a whole showing signs of improvement last year, we could see an uptick from front row. Perhaps this is the year that they finally live up to their name at more than just the super speedways, but more likely are the 3 Fs. Freak win, first round exit, fuck off. Hyok Tua. Fart Pua. This is what Spire would look like if they hated themselves. It certainly could have been a worse winter for Colleague as they did make some decent personnel changes, but the driver lineup has me befuddled. You've got a 43-year-old AJ Allmendinger returning to the Cup Series full-time for the third time, and on the other side of the garage, Ty Dillon, still somehow clinging to a career riddled with insufficient runs and insufficient equipment. And I don't think that's going to change here. If the goal is to eke out another road course win or strike gold on a super speedway, I think they have a chance, but if they're genuinely trying to build a good team, I gotta say, I don't know what the fuck they're doing. I'm starting to think they should have just stuck to Xfinity. With the S and SHR off doing stupid stuff like getting married and having a kid and building a good life, the H is left to fly solo, running under a new banner so eloquently named the Haas Factory Team. I was hoping for the Gene team, but whatever. Their lineup is considerably smaller, fielding one lone Cup Series entry that will be driven by a returning Cole Custer, who in all honesty should have probably stayed in Xfinity. He's been tearing it up down there. I'm not saying his recent success can't translate to a future in Cup, but for guys who only race on Saturdays, it very rarely does. Hell, it didn't even work for him when he last did it. At least they have some good talent waiting in the wings, but as we know from a certain other team, your ability behind the wheel is insignificant next to the power of your last name. So the question remains, was Tony Stewart really holding this team back? Or will Gene Haas's NASCAR team suffer a fate worse than death, being as bad as Gene Haas's Formula One team? Oh, the horror. And there you have it, the 2025 offseason, where the small teams did everything and the big teams did nothing. But of course, that begs one more question. How will things look come playoff time? Spoiler alert, a bunch of mid-packers shuffling seats isn't going to change much, so let's just get this out of the way. Yeah, that looks about right. Next, I should think that barring a generational fall-off, Reddick, Bell, Blaney, and Logano should all make it in just fine. Although Logano just barely made it in last year and won the whole goddamn thing, so who the hell knows. With 5 road course races in the regular season, I think Shane Van Gisbergen is bound to win at least one of them, and with 5 super speedway races, I think we'll see Keselowski shine again. But with so many wild cards in play and such a variety of tracks, I've just got to start throwing shit at the board and seeing what sticks. I like Chastain, I like Briscoe, I like Gragson, and provided they can all start driving to their team's potential, I think Cindric, Gibbs, and Buescher all could make it in too. In terms of guys like Suarez, Wallace, and Busch, I just didn't see enough consistency to instill confidence that they'll improve. And since every year in the next-gen era so far has seen a reverse upset, like Truex in 22, Elliott in 23, and Busch in 24, I gotta give a hot take. I think Denny Hamlin misses the playoffs. Okay, let me explain. I don't have anything against him, besides all those times he was a worse ally than the Soviet Union. In fact, I think he's just what the sport needs. In a world where everyone is trying not to get fined, you need someone willing to pay. But the past few months have seen anarchy in the Hamlin camp. They swapped out his crew chief without letting him know, the same crew chief, mind you, that has given him 22 wins and his best chances at a championship in the past decade. And on top of that, he lost his sponsor too. FedEx, after 20 years of partnership, made like M&Ms and vanished, leaving a giant vacancy on the 11 car, one that JGR seems to be struggling to fill. For one of the most popular race car drivers in the country, boy, that's a bad look for our sport. So you've got longtime sponsors leaving and championship crew chiefs getting shuffled at Joe Gibbs Racing. Where have I heard this before? Of course, this is Denny Hamlin we're talking about. He'll make like MJ and dunk on me the first chance he gets, but I think he's in for a rough 2025. And NASCAR's gonna have the biggest shit-eating grin as it happens. Anyways, I'm going back into my coma. See you guys in the fall.
Oh.